to prove that they are the top team out of North America, perhaps. We've seen them say things on social media throughout the season of, guessing about who is actually going to be in the top spot, maybe thinking that the standings don't accurately reflect that. This is your chance to show it.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at the win rates as well, it's so close between these two teams.
Yeah, and I think Cloud9 has a great advantage in terms of their mechanics. I think that their super team that's been put together, all three of them are amazing in their respective positions, and they have, I think, a slight edge in synergy. However, TSM, I think, has better playmaking and macro strategy, so Cloud9 needs to make sure they beat TSM when it comes to the macro gameplay, because I think they clearly win in the micro.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, one of the factors in this entire series might just be that these games are going to be so close that a lot of it is going to be down to FlashX and Game Visual on those captains, making sure that the crucibles are perfect. Sure they're getting the correct moves from things like Phantom.
Yeah, those two are going to be absolutely integral. They're also both the primary shot callers generally, being able to make decisions and keep the team together when things get tough, if they do get tough. So the leadership ability of those two captains is really going to be put to the test here.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember in this series, the Sky from I Love Joseph was just superb in every single game.
Yeah, definitely. And I think jungle is going to be such an important part of this matchup here, because if Joseph can enable Old School and get Old School ahead of Chuck, that's going to give Cloud9 a big leg up. And on the vice versa side, if Vontae can do that for Chuck, it's the same. So it's going to be a battle in the jungle for sure between both these top teams.
Yeah, and that's kind of been one of the major stories this entire tournament, is jungle seems to be so important in this current meta for Vainglory. And I mean, these two players themselves, just absolute gods of the jungle when it comes to the American scene. And obviously all of our stats brought to you by VGPro.gg. Make sure to go check out their websites. But looking across these statistics, in terms of playstyle, are we expecting to see similar things coming out of these two players?
Definitely. They're both a very similar playstyle in terms of going aggressive frequently. I Love Joseph is a little bit... The only real difference is that I Love Joseph will rein it in every so often when he needs to and go a little bit passive, whereas Vontae is just all aggression all the time, and sometimes to a fault.
Yeah, I know Joseph said that he knows his limits, but I think he needs to surpass his limits today.
Yep.
When we see historically between the matches between TSM and Cloud9, the team that is more aggressive and initiates first is the team that normally wins that fight. When you saw TSM and Flash on Arden gauntleting aggressively into Gabe's glance and winning those fights. So I think that's going to be a critical factor in this matchup here.
And one of the things that has been said at this tournament is that Joseph is at his best he's ever been right now. When we saw them lose yesterday, Joseph was still having an amazing game. But we have to see that, right? C9 is this American super team. They were a team built to try and dominate the American region. And if they're going to do that, if they want to be the super team, this is the game where they have to prove it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the opportunity for Cloud9 to take down the Giants in Team Solo Mid. Again, the big rivalry there in terms of even just all esports, really, is Team Solo Mid and Cloud9, not just in Vainglory, but it's so cool to see it even happen here. It just almost feels like it's a destiny for these two teams to clash.
Yeah, and I mean, you say that. Best Chuck NA, I believe it was last night on Twitter or something like that, was saying that whoever wins this game is going to win the whole tournament. What do you make of that, Sweet Jay?
Yeah, I would tend to agree, because when you look at Cloud9 and TSM versus Gangstar, they've been very successful. So it's going to be definitely all eyes on both teams, and the winner has a very high chance of taking it all the way.
And it's really interesting that Team Solo Mid then says that if they beat Cloud9, then they feel like they're going to win the entire event. They're not the only team that has said that on camera here at the Unified Championship. So, and that just goes to speak the amount of respect that all of these teams have for Cloud9.
Yeah, and I think it was SK Gaming that was saying, like, if we can beat Cloud9, like, we legitimately have a chance of taking the whole thing. Obviously, Cloud9 gave them more than just a run for their money, gave them a 3-1 defeat honestly, I can't wait to get into this game. But when we start to talk about the actual in-game expectations, what are we going to be seeing out of these two teams?
I think the key is which team is going to do better with their engages, and when the engages happen, who is going to be the better counter engager. So Joseph needs to peel and protect Old School, and Von Seed likewise, if they get engaged one, who is going to keep Chuck alive and who is going to be better at keeping Old School alive, and whoever does that better will be the person that probably wins those team fights.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot down to team fights, do you reckon? Is this going to be a bit of a bloodbath?
It very well could be, but at the other hand, both these teams are very capable and very willing to play a little bit of a slower paced, more passive game and just look for that late game. So in terms of the draft, I'm going to have a lot of attention on the draft because both teams are pretty much going to have comfort picks regardless of what you ban away or what you pick away from them. It's just who's going to be able to build a team that can both counter what their opponent has and
TSM will probably take the Grump job because if they don't, Cloud9 will ban it.
And it's so interesting to see how dramatically different the ban phase becomes as soon as it's America versus America instead of Europe being involved. The captains suddenly aren't the priority anymore.
Yeah, it's, as Suijay was saying earlier, all about the jungle in this matchup. Even Lance, is a jungle viable pick here that gets banned away. So 5 picks, or selections, I should say, all being focused on the jungle before that Baron comes out.
Baron is an interesting ban because I thought Adagio would be a better ban. TSM may likely pick Adagio here because it's so strong with Grumpjaw or Lyra. There's a lot of strong captains right now, so the healers are both open. So is TSM going to go with the Lyra pick, or are they going to go with the Adagio here, or surprise us with maybe Arden?
Could you see something like a Kestrel here to go with that Grumpjaw-Kestrel kind of combo where you drop them into the trap?
Yeah, that could very well work as well. Kestrel will be very good, as we've seen Gangstars draft that as well. So, yep, they're going with Adagio. However, Kestrel is a little risky because if you have a really proficient Koshka, she can really delete and jump onto the Kestrel.
Okay, well, it is going to be Adagio. Does this put Cloud9 in a position where they just have to go for the Lyra now?
They don't absolutely have to because it's very likely not going to be a double heal with the Grumpjaw, but having a Lyra alongside Koshka can be extremely effective. One of the Koshka's biggest strengths is her movement speed. You throw a Lyra sigil underneath her and pop it, give her even more movement speed. It will allow I Love Joseph to really shine in that role.
Yeah, I think Lyra Gwen makes a lot of sense here. It's a very strong early game composition. Once Koshka gets Aftershock, Gwen gets Tension Bow, they can put a lot of pressure along with Lyra. However, if they do draft Gwen here, TSM may pick up the Flicker because Flicker with Adagio Grumpjaw is extremely strong and can shut down the Koshka hard. Or they can go with Arden and be a little safer. Or they actually go with Vox here. So Gwen is open, however, I feel like Arden, Flicker may come out here for the side of TSM.
Especially Adagio Flicker during the regular season was one of the strongest combos that we were seeing, and Team Solo Mid is one of the teams that ran a very strong Flicker.
Yeah, and we haven't seen a Flicker at this tournament just yet. It's something that was seen domestically within the regular season for America, but nobody's been willing to bring it to the table just yet. But Flicker, definitely a hero that takes a lot of team coordination, something that TSM have proven that they have. So aside from this Flicker, then what else are the options for TSM?
They can even do Finn. It's more of a late game, mid game comp, but Finn with Grumpjaw and Adagio is extremely strong because they give up that front line. But actually, they're going to go more aggressive and go with Fortress because it counters the Lyra. So this is going to be a very fun game to watch.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of aggression coming out from both sides. This one, well, you asked before, I think this one is going to be a bloodbath.
This one may well be one for the ages. The first game in a best of 5 between Team Solo Mid and Cloud9. We've taken a look at the drafts. It's time once again. Suijay, we'll start with you. What's your prediction going in here?
I think that TSM is going to take it because they're going to be able to rotate and shut down the early game because Weapon Grumpjaw counters the Koshka, and then Fortress is going to counter the Lyra really hard once he reaches level 6.
Okay.
I think Team Solo Mid has the history, has the pedigree. I always like to go with my numbers, and the numbers say Team Solo Mid.
All right, well, it's time to get into the first game of this All-Star American match. It's time to pass over to Jaws and Fuji.
Thank you very much, guys. And TSM versus Cloud9, the semi-finals. I think we could already hope for seed number 1 versus seed number 2, super team versus the best team in North America. My name is Jaws, joined by the beautiful Fuji. We're about to get into game number 1 of this best of 5, and it is going to be an explosive one.
I cannot wait to get into this game. I mean, we are talking about a finals-worthy matchup. Two of the best teams across the globe going head-to-head. Some of the best players across the globe as well, so this is going to be fire.
Yeah, it really is. And I want to see this early aggression that NA is just known for, right? I mean, this Koshka coming out, we've seen Cloud9 play it time and time again. Joseph, an absolute monster in the early stage of the game. Just with that Lyra as well from Gabe Vizzle, it's going to be a very, very tough time for TSM.
It is going to be a tough time, but TSM expects it. They know they're going to take Koshka. They are some of the draft gods of North America, so we're about to hop in it.
Yes, we are. Game number 1, TSM versus Cloud9. This is definitely going to go to 5 games, I think, and I hope it does, as we make our way onto the fold for the first time. We can already see TSM rotating down to the bottom side here with Old School and Best Chuck. They're meeting each other in the lane.
FlashX does have the Dragon Blood on him, so pretty traditional start here from a Fortress, but they are going to just be farming their backs. A little passive, no level 1 invades means that they know that there is a risk to losing, slipping in the early game in this series. Neither of these teams want to lose game 1.
No, I mean, the early game is what NA's been all about, and thus far I've already seen it. I mean, even TSM going back against their games against Fnatic, they stuttered a little bit in the early stages, but, you know, towards the mid-game, the transitional period between those two times, they were able to bring it back fairly easily.
Yeah, and we see this Lyra pick coming in really handy here. There was a little speculation around Arden, potentially what they'd be able to do, but this Lyra is going to help them out a lot. Vainglory looking for some plays.
Yeah, he's going to dash forward with the Hungry, but not going to find Old School just yet. Gabe Vizzle and Old School. The level 1 still, and that's a lot of damage from Vainglory early on with those 2 weapon blades.
So let's talk a little bit about the balance of this type of rotation. Because TSM decided to go for that lane pressure, go for the lane gank potential, they did let Koshka take the Elder, so that's going to swing some experience, a little bit of farm into the favor of C9, something TSM really needs to be careful about, because even though they have the Grumpjaw, they have the Fortress, they can shut down Koshka's aggression. If she does get that lead, she gets level 6 earlier than they expect, that lane gank is going to be devastating.
So what about those levels in the early game? You can already see Gabe Vizzle just teaming up now with Joseph. Bottom C is going to have to use that Hangry to get over the wall. They're probably going to be able to secure this Treant, so already disrupting TSM's jungle is going to be is going to do wonders for Joseph.
I like this. I like this. TSM they're playing just passive enough because giving kills over is far worse. But once again, this is C9's win condition. They have to get the early game lead. They need to keep collecting elders. They need to keep invading. This is what Joseph's known for. This is why in North America, he is one of the best Koshkas that's been ever seen on the tournament field.
I mean, speaking of kind of win conditions here, TSM with this Grumpjaw, we've seen it prove itself time and time again as actually Best Chuck gets dove on. 20 death win condition here because we've got this Fortress, and like you were mentioning a minute ago, it could have very well been an Arden as well to kind of facilitate Von C. I mean, where are we looking in terms of their power spikes?
It's really the fact that TSM wants to make sure they shut down this Lyra healing, right? So yes, Arden does give Grumpjaw a lot of engage potential, but because Lyra's on the board, she actually counters with Bulwark most of Arden's abilities. So this Fortress is going to allow them to work around some of the proc health % damage, get those bleed stacks up, the mortal wounds drop down. It's going to give them deletion potential, and that's what Von C is known for on this Grumpjaw.
TSM finally trying to secure an Elder Treant, but C9, more the wiser, I should say, is going to flare them out. Just make sure TSM can't grab that one. However, rotation here from TSM. All 3 members now just trying to contest this. Not worth a kill for C9, so they just decide to push the wave in. Old School's going to come back down as well. Von C will secure it.
Yeah, just a gentleman's agreement to step back into each other's jungle, although Joseph is looking, it looks like, for maybe a pick here on Best Chuck, but he is pretty smart about that type of rotation. I like the fact that TSM they let a couple of Elders go, but they weren't willing to let all of them. So at least they got one in this first 4-minute period, but with the shop coming online, TSM is going to look for some pressure.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing now. Von C, right, Bulwark has used by Gabe Vizzle just to stop him harassing them. Flash X as well was kind of hindered by that, and now Best Chuck is going to rotate down now. I mean, Alternating Current obviously on the board for him, first item. He's going to want to get that online very, very soon.
Yeah, we do have a couple of items coming out of the shop here. Fountain already purchased. Tension Bow online as well. This is a big power spike. C9 knows this is going to be coming out. They're going to go down and shop themselves. About 1,300 gold respectively each on Old School and Gabe Vizzle here. So teams are going to come out a little bit even with these item purchases. That Tension Bow is going to be a little bit of an extra power spike though. So C9 has to be extremely careful on any of these invades that Grumpjaw cannot get to one of the squishy targets, especially a lower level one like Old School.
I mean, yeah, tier 3 item over anybody else right now. Gabe Vizzle obviously did pick up the Fountain, matching Flash X. Alternating Current as well on Best Chuck and A. Old School hasn't actually got that Sora Blade just yet, so still kind of working towards it. Joseph without a Shatterglass either, although Von C has found somebody. Bright Ball is going to go down. Gabe Vizzle going fairly low, though. Another Hangry onto Old School.
Joseph.
And that will be them just backing off. Joseph on the back line there, but not level 6. Can't use that engage.
The opportunity to go for the flank is there, but if Fortress and Grumpjaw turn on Koshka, she's completely separated from the team. She goes down immediately. This game, the reason why it's so tense is because the first blood kill, the first couple of kills, will open up the map in a pretty big way. There's so much damage front-loaded in these compositions, it's going to be fireworks once the first team fight hits.
I mean, yeah, Best Chuck with the Alternating Current has now been matched by Old School, picking up the Sora Blade, so he's got a little bit more damage in his back pocket. And with Gabe Vizzle hitting that level 6 soon as well, they will have obviously access to that passageway, which will be extremely useful for getting out to that early game aggression that TSM want to do.
Yeah, Best Chuck is playing very passive as he should. He knows Old School is level 6, or excuse me, Joseph is level 6, so a dive under turret can be devastating. Lyra helps really enable that type of kill. Sigils go down, Fountain comes out. Joseph can survive some of these deeper looks for kills, but right now just posturing in the jungle is what C9 wants to do to try to figure out what the rotation from TSM is going to be. They want to try to get deep vision, but once again, a bit risky. Joseph looking like he might get caught here.
Yeah, Joseph gave Vizzle actually. He's going to use that passive to get away. Bright Bulwark as well used to make sure Flash X can't get on top of him. Stuffed obviously available for Von C, and we see it time and time again. As soon as that's online, jumps in, no worries. Tension Bow proc to pretty much finish them off, and it will be TSM taking the first blood. But C9 playing it a bit more smart, just pulling back rather quickly.
But Jaws, like, the amount of respect coming out of both of these teams in this level 1, like we saw yesterday, Cloud9 TSM really put a lot more pressure onto those other teams they were facing. They really scrapped, right? We saw a lot of invades, a lot of divey plays, but today these teams are saying, like, we can't afford to take the first loss. A little bit surprising, though. I think the timidness, that respect level is good, but they have to recognize where their power spikes are at to make something happen.
I mean, speaking of power spikes, Joseph has got the Alternating Current, I should say, Aftershock in his inventory now. Bright Bulwark's used, actually Von C's dashing in. Angry has been used. He's going to devour Gabe Vizzle. He's going to return it to the rest of his team. There goes the attack of the pack from Flash X as well. Joseph in a lot of trouble. He's in the mid of it all, and he actually gets taken out by Best Chuck. And a first blood goes over to TSM in this best of 5. They're going to chase them down as well. Another kill goes over, but it is going to get traded by Old School. They're under the turret right now. Flash X just getting chased down by Gabe Vizzle. Not sure he's got the damage to finish that one up, but TSM, they come up big.
They do come up huge. They only leave Gabe Vizzle here to defend the turret. This means that multiple waves are going to get pushed in. They can continue to get damaged, continue to deny farm to Old School. They lost both carries. Yes, Von C went down, but Best Chuck stayed alive. This is going to allow him to get a little bit up on farm. This is a pretty big win for TSM. They weren't able to get major objectives, but once again, sending that gold, that first blood over is so important. And as we look at this replay right here, we can just see, like, once you get Lyra inside the stomach, she can't use Fountain. Like, when Wolves come out, the amount of damage capable of going onto Joseph is just so immense. Like, the Fountain cannot be used quick enough, and we talked about this. Those bleed stacks, the Mortal Wound, that's where all this damage is coming from. Level 6 power spike from Flash X, incredible engage from TSM.
I mean, you spoke about the respect a minute ago, and we kind of talked to TSM and kind of pulled it out of them that Cloud9 are their primary scrim partners. They scrim each other an absolute ton, both in North America and here as well. So they're kind of used to the way TSM rotate. They're kind of used to the way Cloud9 rotates. So that respect level is there, but like you said, maybe a little bit more aggressive from someone like Von C, who his stuff is already up, could be applied a little bit more.
Yeah, this is very true. And Lyra right here, we can see the kind of pressure she gives, the area control she gives. There are all the ability for cooldowns, like we can use Stuffed, we can use Attack of the Pack, but we're going to go on the turret right now while Flash is gone.
I mean, Von C has picked up the 8-minute infusion as well. definitely looking to fight right now. Like I said, Stuffed is available to him once more. Just such a short cooldown on that very impactful ultimate. They're going to kind of look forward here to Gabe Vizzle. We used the bright bulwark a little bit earlier this time, again using it, but close to their turret. They're not going to be dove under just yet.
Yeah, Koshka actually going down the shop here, looking for a couple of items, but the infusion's been popped, so like it's locked and loaded. They need to make plays here. We do have 2 infusions for C9, so both teams really want to make use of this. Okay, Vizzle, you got to watch out there, buddy. Both teams in the shot bush, trying to go down, trying to buy. Old School just now picking up a little bit more attack speed. Trying to get this region's important. That's going to actually make Von C really tanky for this fight.
Oh, Von C's going to use the Hangry and Bright Bulwark to stop, and Zack at the back is going to come through as well. But Von C's going really low, but yet again, Stuff lands on Gabe Vizzle. Old School and Joseph are trying to kite. Yummy Cannon Frenzy not available, but he ends up picking up a kill anyway. Von C nowhere in that fight whatsoever as Cloud9 pick up 2 kills. And I Love Joseph might just be able to secure this next one. Von C, Hangry's over the wall. Crystal Sentry is going to there to defend, but Cloud9, they come up with 2 massive kills.
Does Von C try to turn? He's going out.
Yummy Cannon Frenzy is blocked, in fact, but it's not going to matter. Twirly Death finishes the kill. Ace for Cloud9, and they're going to push on to this first-tier turret.
This is disaster for TSM. Absolute disaster. This opens up the entire map for C9. They take the first objective. They can go down, set up vision, look to steal farm, but all this new movement is going to allow them to do gold mine. I like what C9's doing here. They didn't all port home. If this happens, TSM actually gets to come out and take gold miner in return. So smart play by C9. They didn't get too ahead of themselves. They took an objective, took a rotation. They only sent Joseph back. Those infusions just now timing out got them the turret. That was the investment they were looking for.
That's exactly what they got. 1 turret now for Cloud9. We'll open the map up for them a little bit to enable them to kind of test TSM in their own back garden, or jungle, I should really say. I mean, Cloud9 now rotating towards the shop here. Big item has been picked up for Best Chuck, by the way, has got that broken myth. So when he gets those stacking, it's going to be very, very painful on Old School and I Love Joseph, whoever takes the brunt of it. But another infusion comes out. Joseph picking up the 10-minute one.
Yeah, Joseph and Old School both re-infusing here. Von C, another infusion on him. So the name of the game at this point is to make sure, because at any point in time you could be fighting, you have an infusion on, and we're looking for another one.
Flash X does dive in, but that Bright Bulwark's going to dissuade him. Von C coming forward with the Hangry is going to do a lot of damage. Attack at the back. This is the chance they want to go in. Twirly Death onto 3 people, but he's just going to go down almost instantly. 1 person gets devoured, and that's going to turn into a 2v3 situation. There comes the Ardent Ultimate, but it's not going to matter. Old School's in trouble. And that is Gabe Vizzle going to go down as well. Passageway's going to come through. Ace might also come. Best Chuck, and they finishes it off with a basic attack, and TSM reverse that one around, pick up an ace for themselves.
TSM had an ace in their tech as well for this game, saying, you know what, we will see your ace, we'll take your turret now, and we're going to get the gold mine payout. I mean, if you look at this replay, what we see here with Von C going in, he's taking so much of that front-loaded damage with the living armor. Best Chuck's getting so much time on Old School. Like, look at the damage, the stuff coming out there, allowing for more time. Koshka actually going back in, trying to get the kill instead of leaving. So a little bit of a mistake there from Joseph, perhaps thinking he wasn't going to be able to escape. So that ace, a really big swing now for TSM.
I mean, it all sparks off as soon as that Bright Bulwark does disappear, right? TSM, they kind of wait for it, bait it out, and then jump straight back in and go for yet another fight. Aegis has been picked up for I Love Joseph. He's got a little bit more defense in his pocket now. Picking up some of the light armor there as well. I mean, really, really scared of Von C. Has got the monocle in his back pocket.
Yeah, I mean, the armor upgrade is so necessary for Joseph just simply because of Von C's damage. With monocle finish, tension bow, there's pierce, lucky strike, so much potential burst, crit potential. Gabe, this infusion essentially means that they need to win the next team fight. Gabe knows this, but like you said, Bulwark, we need a little bit better timing from Gabe, perhaps thinking TSM wants that early engage. Stopping Flash, that's not as important as stopping Von C.
I mean, we knew it was going to be close, but 13 minutes and only 1,000 gold lead for TSM right now. C9 now looking for something. Von C actually using the Hangry to reposition himself. And Cloud9 now just facing off, and Von C over the wall actually. Gabe Vizzle does use the portal in. Bright Bulwark's going to be used versus Judgment onto 3 people, though is going to get blocked, but the damage is still there. Von C is just tearing through. Old School ends up picking him up. Best Chuck and A getting the last final hit, and now I Love Joseph is going to get completely segregated, and this is disaster for Cloud9, and this is another ace for TSM. Second one in 13 minutes, and they will be able to push forward to the second tier turret.
C9, why are you fighting on top of Fortress Wolves? This is basic. basic Vainglory, when those come out, you have to get out. Gabe Vizzle led the charge. The shot call was to portal onto the backline, get the Atlas on Bestchuck. Bestchuck's answer, I'm going to ult. I'm going to make sure that even though I can't auto-attack, I'm still going to do as much damage in this time as possible. Those Wolves, that damage from Von C rips through the entire C9 lineup. They cannot afford to fight on top of that.
I mean, even Bestchuck just channeling the verse in such a small corridor without that passageway available for Gabe Vizzle. Yes, he can crucible it, that's fine, but the problem is the damage is still going to be there, even if Bestchuck isn't going to be throwing out those basic attacks with the alternating current and broken myth. I mean, Old School is just getting targeted, and TSM really playing to their win condition.
Every single one of these aces is also bad for C9 because they are investing slightly more money into these infusions. We talked about the fact that they felt like they needed to win the fight, but needing to win a fight doesn't mean you go for a bad one. You have to set it up still. You have to go for the right type of fight. And TSM, they have the pressure now. We have Attack of the Pack available. We have Stuffed available. Everything is online for this team, and they're probably going to look for another engage here.
I mean, they're big ultimates, big game-changing, fight-changing ultimates on such
down.
a short cooldown. Bulwark's going to be down. Flash X sees his chance. He jumps straight in. Attack of the Pack pop. Versus Judgment channeled again.
Old School!
He's 3. Old School gets deleted. And Von C just picks up another kill. This guy is on fire with a double. This is going to be another ace for TSM. Back-to-back Fuji. TSM are just running away with game number 1.
Von C, your stuffs, my man, going for the Lyra every time. She can't use anything to help her team. They're able to actually dive in and kill schools so quickly because of this. Von C, look, he goes in, he baits out the Bulwark. Then Flash, that's the time. That's when they go in. Koshka not able to get onto the target when she needs to. We see that Lyra go in. School actually gets blown up before Lyra even goes inside of that belly. And then, of course, Gabe is just the reward at the end of the tunnel there to get that ace. This means Kraken Jaws. This means a heavy push into the side of C9.
It's not looking good for Cloud9 right now. TSM firm control, but this is a best of 5. Both of these teams have been in these situations before, and they know what it requires, the mental fortitude. And I just want to point this out once more. Infusion's bought every 2 minutes, it seems, just refreshing them time and time again. And like you mentioned earlier, Cloud9, that's actually hindering them a little bit because they're not winning these fights with these infusions active.
Yeah, I think the itemization priority from Old School might have been a little bit off. He finished his Aegis a little early, but has no armor. So when Von C gets to him, we're talking about 2 seconds before Old School's just getting popped. And with the 3rd choke turret down, this could be the end, Jaws. This could be the end of game 1 for C9. TSM looking to close it out.
Yeah, looking to close out the 16-minute, going on 17-minute mark. You can see the stat there. Turrets taken per Kraken push. 4 as an average for TSM. Actually, Passive Mode's going to get followed through. I'm going to have to interrupt myself as Von C is actually going to be the target. And rightfully so this time. Old School picks up the kill. Passageway versus is going to come down. It's going to obliterate Joseph. And still Flash X is fighting. And there comes the basic attacks from Old School. He finally finds it. He survives and he cleans up the fight. But the Kraken is still marching on their base.
Kraken is probably still going to get this turret. It's going to open up the Vein Crystal. A lot of threat to potentially look for backdoors. And I'll talk about in a second something TSM very well may look to do with this fortress. But I have to call this out. Flash X, he did not use Fountain for Von C in the team fight. Von C went down. He has a lot of effective health with armor. You'll see it right here. As soon as Von C gets targeted, perhaps it was the Old School ultimate. We'll have to check and see. But when the Crucible goes out, Flash is silenced. Flash was silenced. He must have been hitting Fountain during the silence. He was not able to get it off. Chuck saved this team fight the best he could, but Old School does clean up the ace. That's a lot of money in Old School's pocket now. Metal Jacket. We just talked about he was missing armor. Guess what? He has a whole new wardrobe.
A whole new wardrobe. There's a heavy chunk of gear. Horse does come through, but let's talk about the item builds right now. Old School, we talked about his kind of early game aggression that he needs to pull out. He has got the breaking point, Poison Shift, Sorrow Blade. He's doing an absolute wonder of damage, but Von C, double monocle tension bow. When he hits hard.
Yes, and he can get in really fast too with his B ability. The attack speed, that's so many critical chances on those attacks. Just looking across the board here, what I'd like to see TSM do, they have these Fortress Wolves. What they want, they can either go for a team fight because they feel like their lead is strong enough, but with the gold being so close, they can just wait for Kraken. Once Kraken spawns, they can use Fortress Wolves. The bleed stacks will then keep C9 from being able to port home. So they can either take Kraken or they can go for the finish. This strategy they might use, but honestly, they can probably just win a team fight.
Okay, Vizzle luckily flaring out that brush. We'll make sure they spot TSM at every corner. Now, this is the problem, TSM. It might not look it in the goal, but you can see on the map, 0 turrets for Cloud9 remaining. and TSM looking to take this first victory. Tackle Pack's going to get popped, another bright ball goes down versus jumping on 3 people. Finally, they dodge it around it. This is what they need to do. Kite back, but they're going to jump straight back.
Joseph!
Trying to get on 3 people, but Joseph's going really low. Those basic attacks from Chop just take him out, take him off the face of the fold. Vonsi ends up trading 1-for-1 right now. They're going to re-engage. Best Chuck and gets caught up in the bright
Blocks
ball,
the
but it's
route.
not going to matter. He blocks the route. He gets the kill on Old School, but can the Lyra do it? Gay Vigil chasing them now. Flash X and Best Chuck and the only members survive for TSM, but they look like they just want to hunt him down for this ace.
Well, they don't need the ace, they just need to go for the crystal. Like, the base is open. Gabe has to go home and try to stall this, but I don't think it matters. Unless he gets a perfect Atlas off, unless he's able to keep them away, I don't think they can stop this. 8 seconds on Koshka. This is going to be so close.
Ball work is, well, did go down. Koshka's
He
up
got
in
the
4
Atlas off.
seconds. This is going to be really big. The Atlas is going to slow Best Chuck attack speed, but he's going to be kiting
Joseph's
around.
coming in with Portal.
Joseph's coming around with the portal. Will they be able to take him out before it ends? One more hit will do it in TSM. They take their first game against Cloud9.
That was so close. TSM really pushing. We talked about a strategy they could go for. They decided to fight instead. The risk inherent in that fight was right before us. Oh, Flash let out a sigh of relief. I let out a sigh for that game. That was so close, the portal to get Joseph in there at the very end. Jaws, TSM, they had a strategy for this Koshka. It paid off. Shutting down C9's Koshka, that's a reward in and of itself.
I mean, the analysts talked about it. The jungle v jungle matchup was the biggest in this game. And I mean, I want them to break that down even further because game 1 just looks all in TSM's favor. Munch, you guys can take it away.
We said this was going to be close. I don't think that could have been any closer of an ending to the first match right there. I mean, where do we even begin breaking up into this one, Bacon?
I mean, just really well played across the board. Both teams constantly going back and forth at each other. A lot of fighting early on, and just in the end, Team Solo Mid able to find just the slight little plays, the little small movements to keep enough members alive to go and end the game.
But Sweetjay, you were criticizing Cloud9's early play in this game.
Yeah, with Koshka, Lyra, you have to deny jungle. And Joseph did a nice rotation on the second rotation. He took the mid from Von C, but he didn't do much after that before the 4-minute mark. And I feel like they needed to maximize Koshka's early game advantage and try to shut down Von C. And the fights, I mean, Fuji pointed out perfectly, is you cannot fight against into the Fortress Ultimate and a Dodger Ultimate, and that really put Cloud9 behind a couple fights when they did that. And you saw one fight they had a counter engage and actually won that fight. So it really boiled down to who is going to have the better engage, and then when the team engages, can Cloud9 get a good counter engage to win that? And they did win once. But it was a very exciting series, lots of fights, and it did not disappoint us at all.
Yeah, and Bacon, we were talking about the build from Von C, right? The pure damage on this Grumcho.
Yeah, it's so much fun to watch Von C's builds this tournament. It's been unlike really anything we've seen except for maybe on day 1. We saw a couple teams try and go for these really glass cannon builds, but with Team Solo Mid, it's working because it's only one player that's going for this full-on damage strategy. Yep. And Von C also just has the mechanics to make it work as well.
But honestly, every single team fight that game, it's not like TSM were just completely running away with things until very late on. The team fights that they were winning with slivers of HP remaining. It was an absolute treat to watch.
Yeah, definitely. It was insane to see, you know, the back and forth, the fighting, etc. And it was a joy to watch for sure. This is the key team fight here at the 13-minute half mark where it could have went both ways, but see, Gabriel gets the Atlas on Chuck and Portal's in. However, Chuck immediately ultimates, and they're fighting into a Fortress ultimate. So really, they're fighting onto TSM's win condition at this point. You can see how much damage that Mortal Wound does and how much it really counters the Lyra heal and Fountain healing that comes out.
And Fuji was saying that during the cast as well. You can't afford to play into those ultimates, and especially in a game that is this important. Both teams vying for grand finals right here.
Especially when you have so much mobility on your team. You have Lyra portals, you have Koshka's movement speed, and you have Sonic Zooms from Vox. There's no reason for you to be sticking around on top of the Fortress Ultimate. So, again, just small mistakes. Yep. That one mistake may have actually cost Cloud9 the game because that was really a big turning point for Team Solo Mid.
Yeah, that was where the lead really started to build up for them. But Glaive, the first ban, once again, that's taken away off the table on this one. Now Cloud9 taking a little while on their first ban, but they're actually going to take away Grumpjaw.
Yeah,
But
TSM's
Koshka's
gonna
open.
take Koshka here probably. And Glaive is such a good ban because Cloud9 is very comfortable on Glaive, and they have a lot of competition that work with Glaive. So both teams know each other really well, but I feel like TSM again has a slight edge up here when it comes to the draft strategy. I think here Cloud9 can potentially pick the Adagio, and then see basically are able to flex him either carry or captain, which is what they normally have done before. So let's see what they decide to do here.
It's going to be a difficult decision here for Cloud9 as they move on into the draft. I mean, looking at the compositions from Game 1, do we feel like Cloud9 have to really change things up going into the second one, or was it just a matter of execution?
Well, with Koshka being now in Team Solo Mid's hands, there's going to have to be a big change for Cloud9 in how they play against this hero.
Here we go. Batiste. Well, we've only seen this once so far in the tournament. It was Captain Batiste, and it lost the game. Do we think that this is going to be captain again? Do we think they're going to be taking a different angle with this?
I think this will be captain. The reason why Batiste is picked because he has a slow with his Mojo, his A. His B, the Ordain, can actually put a little gauntlet around Koshka and stun her and leave her kind of vulnerable, and they can then attack her. So that's why Batiste potentially could work to lock the Koshka down when she engages, and then the whole team focuses them.
Not only that, but Batiste's ultimate will also cancel out a Yummy Catnip Frenzy if it starts, but the reactions are going to be so important. If an Ordained comes out, as soon as the Yummy Catnip Frenzy begins to get channeled, it's going to immediately stun the Koshka as soon as she jumps and can do incredible amounts of work, like Suijay was saying. So I'm excited to see Batiste make his way back onto the fold.
Yeah, I mean, we said that Batiste lost his first game, but Cloud9 is one of the very best teams in the entire world. You expect them to play it to its maximum potential. Lyra has been banned away by Cloud9 here, which I quite like, because it means the Team Solo Mid, they have to consider banning Adagio, or it is going to go over to Cloud9.
Very likely will get picked up, and Old School is, again, one of the best, if not the best, Adagio player in the world. And with Batiste already picked up, likely to be a captain, it does open up for that Adagio in the lane.
Yeah, and I think here Old School may go with the Vox again because it's a carry he's very comfortable on. He likes playing Vox into Koshka. Adagio is also open as well. We also have Baron. Potentially he could run, but he's probably going to take Adagio, and he does. And I think over here at TSM, there's Gwen open. There's a lot of... Gwen Arden will be good. Lance is potentially good as well. So they have a lot of strong meta picks that TSM can run with on A side here.
I actually really like the Adagio pick as well, just because of the fact that it offers so much zone control. Between the Adagio and the Batiste, it's going to be tough for Team Solo Mid to actually get into a fight, which is why that Fortress pick is kind of curious to me, if only because Fortress is so all in, and then Cloud9 has the tools to just send him away once more.
Yeah, Fortress is definitely something FlashX must be very comfortable on, going for this 2 games in a row. It worked last game, we'll see whether with this slightly different composition it's going to work out in the same way. And now Cloud9, only 15 seconds to pick up this last remaining hero. What are we expecting them to go for? Too late, it's already going to be the Rona coming on in. We've seen a lot of success with Rona this tournament.
Yeah, Rona is good because if Batiste drops the Ordained, Rona can go in there and just ultimate because they're stuck in that little prism. So this could work really well. And Fortress ultimate, if Flash X ult, Gabe can use the Fearsome Shade to cast the wolves away actually and cancel the Fortress ultimate.
Okay, well, it's about that time once again, gentlemen. We'll start with you this time, Bacon. How's this one going to play out?
I actually really like the Cloud9 draft. I think they have the tools to deal with Von C's Koshka, and it's so difficult for me to try and vote against Old School's Adagio, so I think Cloud9 evens up the series.
Okay, Suijay?
I'm loving the Batiste. Hope Cloud9 executes it, so I'm going to go for Cloud9.
All right, we're on the Batiste hype train right here on the analyst desk. Let's pass it back over to our casters for Game 2.
Thank you very much, Munchable and the boys. Game number 2, TSM versus Cloud9. TSM already up at game 1 here, Fuji. That was an intense first game. Like you said before, could have gone either way.
Yeah, it was so close. I mean, we see these teams just fighting neck and neck, tooth and tooth, and C9 coming into this game with a very dramatic draft that we have not seen before. So perhaps this was an ace up their sleeve, something they've been working on specifically for TSM, but they feel like they have to bring it out right now.
I mean, like they mentioned on this, Suijay said, Fearsome Shade, the Baptiste ultimate, can push away Attack of the Pack. One massive thing that TSM used to their advantage when they were fighting those tight corridors.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit like, will we see Batiste at the tournament? Will anyone be willing to pull him out? And C9 says, we are willing. And as we go into this game, I'm excited to see how they use this pick.
Oh, I'm excited too. One of the top teams in North America, the Super Team, heading onto the fold with Batiste. Game number 2, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to get right into this one, and it is going to be oh so close again, I can imagine.
Oh, let's see here. We got so much to think about going into this early game. Cloud9 looking for the level 1 invade, all 3 going in, so this is potentially going to be a first blood. They're just going to look for the Treant. I like that. A little patience, a little virtue here as they go in for a deeper invade.
Yeah, okay, Vizzle throwing out that mojo, obviously does slow up FlashX a bit earlier. BestJackAnay as well, rotating. Only 2 members here now, and TSM have got 3. Gwen has got the buckshot to reveal. Old School's going to come down as well, but they're going to focus Joseph. Joseph's falling really low. He's going to try and leap out of the frame. It's not going to work. Trading 1-for-1, in fact, as Von C ends up falling as well, but Old School's going to meet them and just chase FlashX away. They're focusing BestJackAnay. Best mojo to bad mojo to follow it up. Slows him down, but not going to be enough. Cloud9, they trade 1-for-1, but they're going to get priority in the lane.
I actually think Best Mojo is completely accurate there as they go into the backs and they take that pressure down. This was actually a really big win for C9, even though it is 1-for-1. They're able to put pressure, take some jungle, come out, also get the Elder here. So pretty big win. A little scary though for a second because Old School did leave, but FlashX kind of sticking around the bush. You saw C9 call him back. So very, very critical shot call coming out of C9 there, not to just have Joseph go back to the lane.
I mean, Von C picked up that kill. We did end up taking down Joseph and gave Vizzle on the side of Cloud9, picked that one up. So a net gain for TSM, you could say, in terms of where the kills did end up. Now FlashX and Von C are just trying to invade C9's jungle.
Yeah, and I want to see like how they're able.
I say that. Yeah, nice rotation onto Old School. Twirly Dev doing a lot of damage, and already that early game damage from Von C and BestJackAnay will finish secure the kill. And Von C with 2 already, that's going to be scary for Cloud9.
Yeah, Old School should have seen them, but here we go back and forth.
Into the fray, straight onto BestJackAnay. Actually, Von C coming round as well. FlashX taking a lot of damage. He can actually just leap onto Gabe Vizzle here, but decides to just hold it back a little bit. Bad mojo into the brush just to spot anybody out. But Cloud9, they are going to make it out alive.
Yeah, I'm a little curious why Joseph, like when he went up like that and they got the kill, we saw Old School kind of sitting back, sitting like a little bit to turret, but not like. Why? Like, why sit so far forward? You got a scout trap when you come out of the tri-bush. You had to see them. The reaction time not good enough means Old School goes down. But fortunately, farm is still pretty even from the lane setting. Gabe Vizzle on this Batiste. Let's talk about some things that he might be able to do, Jaws, because if anyone's going to pull out a pick like this, Gabe is the one. Ordained. He's maxing this first, it looks like. It's going to be the key to stopping this Koshka and Fortress engage. But they're going to go down. Probably look for Elder here. Nothing too much. TSM does want to contest.
Mojo to reveal. Ordained is going to go down. Actually, that's going to be a big into the fray for I Love Joseph. Just cutting up Von C. He takes the first kill in the fight. Joseph still trying to run away, but BestJackAnay thinks not today. Uses the buckshot to finish off the kill, but Old School is going to be able to chase him down. Another bad mojo to follow up, and Cloud9 pick up 2 kills.
Best Chuck, you went down, you picked up the kill. I think it was worth it. At this point, I don't believe Best Chuck feels like he could have gotten out. Skedaddle going down to really pick up that extra kill there. But all of this lane wave coming down, not ideal. Best Chuck does not want to lose this much farm. A Gwen needs this farm early game. Yes, it's not the worst case scenario, but really back and forth team fights. This is very different than game 1, Jaws. This is a lot of aggression from both sides.
I mean, we only saw the aggression really come out around the 8 to 10 minute mark, and now 3 kills apiece on the board. It's only 4 minutes into the game. It's been just over 1 kill a minute. Old School now trying to push this lane, and they spoke about it a little bit on the desk. Old School on this Adagio is something to fear, but I mean, Gabe Vizzle right now is just performing wonders on Von C, and Joseph chasing him out as well, but the nice rotation from TSM is going to force Cloud9 back.
Yeah, FlashX giving a little truth to the tooth there onto Gabe Vizzle, but nothing for the engage. Von C going up. This big rotation. We're probably going to see another clash here, Jaws, in the lane. Von C prepping his empowered stacks there in the back of the bush.
Yeah, Best Chuck has got the Tenjin Bow to his name as well now. So we all know what Gwen can do in the early game with that. Mixed with the passive, it's just a ludicrous sum of damage. But alternating current for Old School as well. It's going to be a lot of sustained damage, not a lot of burst. Von C's going to dive out in fact. Ordain's going to come down, and Von C just gets deleted into the fray as well. Straight on top of FlashX. He goes down to Joseph, and TSM just walked into their doom.
I mean, fountain didn't even have to be used. It was like Cloud9 wasn't even in the team fight. Look at their health bars. Like, what happened there? Flash X goes down, Von C goes down, they get popped, and this is going to be so much damage on the turret. Chuck can only do so much here, and with Adagio's heals, this might be first objective. 5-minute turret. Cloud9 setting the pace. I mean, look at this engage. Von C, you can't go in. You have to respect the potential burst. Perhaps TSM not getting a lot of practice against this Batiste and that Ordained. That was so much damage.
So much damage and a free turret for them. And now Old School and Gave Visual are going to have to defend their own turret as TSM do look for a small invade on their jungle. But I mean, net worth here for Cloud9. They're 5 kills to 3 right now, and you can look at the gold lead. It's about 1,000, which it was exactly about that in the 15-minute mark as well of game number 1. I mean, it's always going to be close between these two teams, but Cloud9 taking that first turret is only going to spell good news for them.
Well, they're looking to really push this advantage as well. Like, we're going to see a little bit of seesaw because power spikes are going to be going back and forth as we head into this mid-game. I mean, at this point, we're essentially looking at Tension Bro procs being able to pop Adagio or to be able to kill Batiste maybe, but Rona, she's going to survive for quite a while with this end of the fray. She's going to get some fortified health here very soon with her ultimate, so the posturing here, they have to be careful. TSM doesn't have a turret to retreat to, but Flash X not being level 6 yet means they're probably just looking to protect Chuck while he takes his farm.
Yeah, they just need to make sure he can pick up that Sora Blade as his next item, because I love Joseph with his Serpent's Mask. Like you said, the sustain coming out from him is just massive in these fights. And Gabe Vizzle has just been a standout performer on Baptiste already. 1-0-4, and Ordained placement as well has just been on point.
Absolutely has been, and there we go. Aftershock on Von C, so another power spike now going back over to TSM. They do have Yummy Catnip Frenzy available. If they can combine that once Best Chuck hits level 6, then they'll be able to get multiple stuns off, and that infusion coming online probably to match I Live Joseph. I do believe they saw him pick that up and buy it, so once again, this is like an insurance policy, right? C9 wanting to do this goal mine, finally making the call. Their jaws as they kind of danced around for a second, but should be uncontested.
Yeah, that flare does go out from TSM. They're going to spot out that mine. Red Mist actually just to secure that one. Gabe Vizzle picks the credit up for that one, and TSM won't be. They'll just be a little bit out of pocket. 210 gold to the side of each of C9's members. Mojo just done up Best Chuck and they're going to jump on Von C once more. Ordain's going to trap him in, and once more the Red Mist just cuts through him, and now Flash X is going to be the target into the fray for Joseph, but they're just going to completely ignore him at this point. That attack of the pack from Flash X did absolutely nothing to hinder Von C's death.
Attack of the pack down, aces high down. Like, this is not what you want if you're TSM. You're supposed to be able to stop this type of aggression, but my question for Von C is, yes, you can be aggressive, but why pocket an infusion? Why pocket a reflex block? You've got to get out of this Ordained. You cannot just sit inside of that. When Rona jumps in, this is actually a beautiful draft concept. Ordained goes down. Rona jumps in with End of the Fray. She uses her Red Mist, and if you can't get out of there, you're going to go down instantly.
It's just absolutely so worrying. And one thing as well you got to think about, fearsome shade coming out from Gabe Vizzle as well. If they do want to send Attack of the Pack out, they'll just solo out Von C. There goes fearsome shade. See you later, Wolves, and they just push on from there. C9 just adapting this this pick perfectly. Gabe Vizzle just doing an absolute wonder on Baptiste. And it was a matter of time really before one of these top teams did pick it up. They're going to meet Flash X in this brush now, but Cloud9, you know, they just want to be able to clear these waves. TSM don't want to fight them just yet.
Gabe Fizzle does pick up the treads here, so they're going to be able to get in and out of any sticky situation that they don't want to be involved in. But Flash X looking for a potential gank from this top bush. Oh, spotted, but here we go.
Flared out, Attack of the Pack's going to get popped. They're going to jump in. Here comes the ultimate. Then just comes down. That's going to be one kill for Gabe Fizzle already. Into the fray, lands on Best Chuck and A. Aces high, goes wide as Flash X is going to get chased down. But once more, perfect target selection from Cloud9 as they pick up 2 more kills on TSM and a turret.
This second turret is so important because C9 knows how to push the lead. They might even look to go for more here as they look at the choke point. This could be dangerous though.
I don't know, because they're going to jump straight into the Swan Twirly. Death, but Ordained comes down. He's trying to dodge around him. Von C ends up getting stunned up. They just focus the turret down. It falls eventually. Joseph just regaining HP using that Serpent's Mask, but they're going to go back in. Red
Joseph!
Mist on the Flash X. He might just pick up another one. There we go. Red Mist turns into dust, but Best Chuck LA is going to be able to chase him down. Finally finds the double. Gabe Fizzle with the bad mojo for the slow. Might just be able to get out alive, but Cloud9 once more pushing on 2 turrets.
Gabe Fizzle doing a little charm there. Best Chuck trying to get a kill here, but not going to be able to catch him. He doesn't have an upgraded boots, not using Skedaddle. That would be all of his energy, so just a gentleman's handshake there to call that off. But we said they might have bit off a little more than they can chew, but arguably I'd say this early in the game, it's worth it because getting that choke point turret means you're setting yourself up for complete map control. TSM, they don't have an area to retreat to. There is nowhere safe except for their base. And at 10 minutes in the game, feels bad, man.
Feels very bad, man. Gabe Fizzle with the Atlas Pauldrons now as well. I mean, we've seen early War Treads priority on a lot of these captains throughout the tournament, and this is exactly why. Getting into the face of Vonsi, getting into the face of Best Chuck is exactly where Joseph wants to be, and with the Atlas as well, Best Chuck, he's going to have a nightmare to deal with.
I want to see a little bit of aggression coming from C9 here. They're going to take this gold mine, but they want to continue pushing this line of vision up. Because all the turrets are down, Sentry can be their next objective for them. They want to continue to rotate the front jungle. They want to continue to rotate their own jungle. It's not just about having a lead, it's about extending it. And we're going to see how disciplined C9 can be coming into this mid-game, and whether they even think they need Kraken to finish it. We're still 4 minutes away from Kraken spawn, so a few shot call decisions to be made. But I think C9, they just play this safe. They have such a huge lead, they don't need to push the envelope. And Ace going to TSM spells bad news.
It does spell bad news. Now they're contesting every single bit of jungle. Joseph does end up securing the tree, and this is exactly what they wanted. And one thing I want to point out as well, look at the gold lead. 5,000 in the pockets of Cloud9 over TSM. This is the biggest it's been so far. Series number 1, 2,000 maximum.
Yeah, they've grown the gold lead about 1.5k every 1.5 minutes here as we kind of get into this mid game. So I'm curious what Cloud9's going to do. Just continue pushing this wave up. Sentry will be in their sights fairly soon. They're kind of daring TSM to fight us. They're so much stronger. Yes, Flash's Wolves can make the team fight a little bit more even, but here we go.
Oh, they want to go for another fight. Attack of the pack into the fray, though, from Joseph. Aces high actually gets stunned up there. That's pretty big. Yummy Candy Frenzy onto 1. He might just be a go-to in here, but Serpent's Mask healing him back up. That fortified Haze is so strong. Red Mist tears through 1. Old School now just trying to solo out. Best Chuck and A. He goes down, and Flash X is going to be the next target. A double kill for Old School, and they are just going to push this wave and push the base.
Yes, Joseph goes down, but guess what? That's kind of what he's supposed to do. If anyone happens to die, he's supposed to dive in. He's supposed to do as much damage as possible. Red Mist potentially keeping him alive. I mean, this engage from TSM is questionable. Sentry had just been taken. Joseph does miss the Ace's high block there, so unfortunate, perhaps could have kept him alive longer, but Ordained, once again, Von C, where is your reflex block in these team fights? We are 12 minutes in. Somebody give this guy a tip on this because he cannot get out of there, and he's continuing to get shut down every single time. Gabe Fizzle drops that Ordained. A little reflex block action there before he picks up Crucible. Gabe always having a little fun in these tough finals days matches.
I mean, one thing you got to keep in mind as well, Von C has actually filled out his item slots, can't actually pick up a reflex block without selling something, so that's really big. Now Joseph looking for something here. War Treads coming in. TSM a little bit caught off. Attack of the Pack's going to get popped. And Joseph is just soloing out Von C. His health bar dropping. There comes the Adagio ultimate. Comes down huge. Fear onto Von C. He ends up falling as well. Double kill for Joseph. And this is going to be game number 2 going over to Cloud9.
Cloud9 takes it. The wave's on their side of the map too, so they're going to be able to push in straight to these turrets. The death timers won't matter because the damage is going to be intense. 3 aces per match. That's all you really need to close this game out. C9 16-6. We had a gentleman type style. They're going for the, it's not going to matter at this point. Jaws, it's such a crazy finish to this game.
Crystal goes down and Cloud9, they even the series up 1 apiece with TSM. We said it was going to be close, but game number 5 is surely on the horizon here, Fuji.
We already have a series on our hands. It feels so good to see these teams put it all out on the line, but C9 saying when we turn into the aggressive play styles, we have the better of UTSM.
I mean, that's exactly what TSM wanted to do with this early game Gwen. She wanted to use that Tension Bow to get some early damage. And even Von C picking up this Koshka with the Fortress pick as well, finding picks they just couldn't make. This Batiste really sunk it home for Cloud9. I want to see what the analysts have to say about this, because this is Batiste's first win in the tournament thus far.
It certainly is Batiste's first win, and anyone who is disappointed with how quick the first semi-final was is going to be over the moon at the sight of how close this one is shaping up to be.
Yeah, Batiste's first win ever in competitive.
Yes,
so
good point.
Very good news for him, but at the same time, I have to put a lot of blame on Von C for this game. He made it easy for Batiste to get that win. Why do you not have a reflex block? This is a game where you are so far in. You have 2 completed Tier 3 offensive items, but the entire game, Gabe Vizel just dropped Ordained onto Von C, and he has the choice to make. Either sit in the Ordained, taking damage with a Rona ulting on him, or try and leave the Ordained, get stunned, with the Rona ulting on you. Like, it makes no sense to me why there is not a reflex block on the Koshka.
And that's like the least Von C scoreline you've ever seen, right? 2, 8, and 3. It's so unlike him. And then Gabe Vizel on that Batiste, like 3, 0, and 13. Incredibly great score.
Yeah, Gabe is definitely the MVP of this match. It's a new composition. Maybe TSM didn't prioritize the reflex blocks like they did the prior game. They all got a reflex block against a level 6 Koshka, but this game, not as many reflex blocks. And Gabe landed some clutch Ordains. Like, there's one where he caught Chuck near a jungle shop, and they just jumped and engaged on it. And whoever is the closest to old school, they would delete. There was another fight that Gabe did. He put the Fearsome Shade out on Chuck, so Gwen had to basically was out of the fight for about 1.3 seconds, which is how long the Fearsome Shades last. And then they all just focused on Von C. I mean, great counter engage. Again, the counter engage is the key to Cloud9, and they performed very well.
Yeah, and we actually have a replay of one of those fights as well. Do you want to run us through that one?
Yeah, this is the last fight that really sealed the deal. And look at the engages. You see, he puts the Ordained down, and then they focus Von C, and then Old School ults as the Dojo, hits 2 members, and they're so ahead at this point that TSM doesn't have enough damage, even with the Fortress Ultimate, to delete one of the carries from Cloud9.
It's also tough to delete a carry when your entire team is sitting there stunned for about over half the fight. Like, again, I mean, it's going to sound like I'm harping on it, but it's because I have to.
Yeah.
You just can't go into that composition without reflex.
When you see a brand new pick as well, and it does so well, you got to talk about it. You got to bring that up as a major talking point in this kind of series. But we're going to be going into the next draft. Are we going to see a Batiste ban? Is it that important?
I don't think it's going to be enough to draw a ban. I think the Adagio is more important than the Batiste still, just because Old School's Adagio is that good. I've said it in the season, I'll say it again. Allowing Old School to have Adagio is almost asking for a loss.
Okay, well, Adagio got through first ban phase at least. We could well see that go towards the side of Cloud9. And that is going to be the first lock-in of this draft.
Yep, they're going to put Old School back on the Adagio. Has so much success. And actually, Adagio lane in general has had so much success this entire weekend. So that makes a lot of sense from Cloud9 side to pick that. TSM has options here. They can pick Grumpjaw or Koshka and basically keep them both open and take the Koshka Grumpjaw combo. They're said they're going to go with the Lyra heal here, but there's still the potential for Grumpjaw or Koshka. So they may potentially ban Grumpjaw. If they do that, then Cloud9 has to ban Koshka. So they're going to ban Koshka instead, and let's see if Cloud9 bans a Grumpjaw or gives it to TSM.
Yeah, and then at that point, when they get the Grumpjaw, you know that things are going to be going down. But Cloud9, considering this ban, they don't want to just immediately go for it because they're, I'm sure, very aware that this could easily be a bait.
Yeah, it very well could be. I think if Cloud9 leave the Grumpjaw up, maybe TSM don't even take it because they assume that there's something to go against it, but it is going to be Grumpjaw taken off the board.
And Kestrel going to be almost instantly locked in. Von C going to be, I'd assume, going on to that one. It seems likely that we'll see it in the jungle.
Yeah, definitely. He carries so hard on TP Kestrel, so now Cloud9 has a few options. They may go with Taka here to get onto her, or if Joseph is comfortable, he can do Sky or Samuel, because it's really a skill matchup at that point, so he can pick those 3 options. I think would be the best to get onto that Kestrel. However, Taka is risky because Lyra's Bulwark is can basically disable him. and really help Kestrel stay alive and get away. So I think Sky may be a good option here for Cloud9.
So we've only seen Kestrel CP so far throughout this tournament. We've not really seen it go into lane. Is that actually a possibility anymore? Or is that something these teams are just not going to look at?
It's a possibility, but it's not very likely. The CP Kestrel is just so much more heavily prioritized, so much more effective, and there's so many other laners that are just more effective than a Kestrel, and that's why so many teams have been just staying away from the weapon Kestrel.
Absolutely. Well, Fortress locked in for Cloud9, taking that one away from Flash X and looking towards their final pick. They've got to get some damage in this composition to round things out shortly.
Yeah, I mean, Old School's Adagio does have a lot of damage, but you still want something else that can help carry and help to get that set up. So using almost all of their bonus time here, last 10 seconds, they're going to go back to the Rona.
Yep. Rona working wonders for them in the past. We'll see if it's going to work wonders in this game as well. Team Solo Mid, down to their final pickup. How do you go against this heavy melee composition?
Yeah, I mean, Lyra's Borg is going to be a key indicator of these fights here because they're a heavy engage on. They have to engage on that Crystal Kestrel and get her. Otherwise, if they don't and Kwanzi gets away and pokes them, then it's going to be a really tough fight for Cloud9. And I think here for TSM, they need to pick someone that is going to be able to basically protect Kestrel. So I feel like Gwen could be a good option for TSM. It's pretty meta. She has a slow, she has a stun, she's good into Rona, she has a skedaddle, she can get away. So potentially they may pick Gwen here. I think would make the most sense.
Gwen's still available, but only 25 seconds of bonus time left. What are we thinking, Bacon, on this one?
I think the Gwen definitely does make a lot of sense. You have to figure it's going to be a hero for best Chuck, and it is going to be the Gwen. So again, it made the most sense. And that's obviously why they end up going for it.
All right, so our drafts are now filled in. Gwen on a 61% and a bit win rate so far in this tournament, and honestly not surprised on that one because we've had a lot of success with Gwen, and it's not been like a specifically NA or EU pick either. That one's been a very consistently strong pick throughout the tournament, but the draft is complete. We'll start with you this time, Sweet J. How are you feeling about the draft?
I think with Flash on Lyra and Vonsi on CP Kestrel, I think they're gonna take this game. There was so much lane pressure, they're gonna shut it down in lane.
As much as I hate to go against Old School on Adagio, I think, like Sweet J said, just the amount of pressure that should come out of the jungle will be just enough to keep Old School from being able to go off this game.
All right, well, we're thinking on the desk that this is going to be a back and forth series, apparently. Let's hand it over to Jaws and Fuji to head into Game 3.
Thank you very much. Game number 3, Cloud9 and TSM. This is turning out to be quite a series, and what a surprise. Another Rona pick for Cloud9. And my goodness, why wouldn't you after the poor performance last game?
I mean, you might as well, right? You got to go with what works. But I think, TSM, they picked this Gwen as the last pick, but they didn't pick it immediately. So there's a little hesitation, and I think TSM a little bit frustrated after that last game, going down to a unique draft, one that perhaps they hadn't not had time to prep for. So C9, some tricks up their sleeve, going 1-1. We're now to the best of 3.
Best of 3, thus it is. It's a best of 5, but they want a piece. Game number 3, we're going to jump on to the fold. I mean, once more, TSM drafting an early game composition. Gwen, Kestrel. It's going to be very explosive from the get-go, but once more, that Fortress is really there to just back everybody up. A true standout hero in this series so far.
Yeah, I do like the Fortress pick. What this means is it allows them when they ult to really track down Von C on this Kestrel, but I have to agree with Bacon and Sweet J, like the pressure from Lyra Kestrel is going to be really intense, and Gwen kind of rounds this out. So they're looking to snowball this game so Rona cannot get to power spikes and Old School can't be as effective as he would like on this Adagio.
Well, you can already see TSM being very aggressive, but Cloud9, they know what's up. They want to just push that lane ASAP. They know they can't stand against Vonsi and Flash X on these two heroes. No real point, so just push out that wave, push it to the turret, just let it eat it.
Yep, that's what you got to do. You cannot contest Lyra and Kestrel. The damage is just way too high, so you just kind of cut some of the early game losses, expect a little bit of invade potential coming over, and play it safe. Giving over kills means giving over jungle, which means more experience on this hero for Von C, so what we're going to be looking at a lot, though, over the next couple of minutes is just whether Von C chooses to kind of hyper farm in the jungle or whether he comes up and uses the Lyra pressure to try to take an early turret. We'll have to find out what happens, though, as, right now, just kind of doing the double lane thing while everybody farms. Von C goes on a little shopping trip.
I mean, Von C, one thing I want to point out with this Kestra, we've seen such a variety in builds, not only here, but in the VG8 regular season as well. We've seen Shatterglass into another Shatterglass, but more commonly as well, we've also seen a Frostburn being picked up first item. With the all-in engage from Cloud9, with the Into the Fray and Attack of the Pack, is that something he's really going to look for?
I definitely think it will be. I mean, the utility from all of that is going to be so important, but at the same time, this is a poke composition, so you're not going to often get a lot of that slow off. That's going to be where Rona and Fortress go in, but hello, Von C, watch out.
Hello, Von C does pop in the active camera, does use the boots to get away as well. That was really important, but a big cooldown does mean they're off now, and already Cloud9 is just going to jump on him. Von C just disappears, and he just gets melted by the Rona, and already another Into the Fray, straight on top of two members of Cloud9. Best Chuck and A, he's in a lot of trouble. Another dash forward, and Cloud9 secured 2 kills in the first 2.5 minutes of this game.
Gabe Fizzle's pair of new Yeezys working out there as he continues to dive between the turrets. That's going to be so much damage coming from this Rona, coming from this Fortress, but Von C, watch out. You cannot be in that type of position by yourself. Kestrel this early in the game does not get that extended time on her active camouflage to be able to get out, so I like the fact that Von C's looking for the Elders, but once again, you've got to respect the engage potential from this Rona and from this Fortress.
I mean, one thing with Von C as well, firing out those glimmer shots locks you into that animation, giving perfect time for Joseph and Gabe Fizzle to easily execute and jump straight on her. It's going to be a bit of a problem, and Von C just needs to get to that power spike like you were mentioning. Triple crystal bit with the battery now as well to get that early game damage out. I mean, where do you kind of expect her to go at this point with Flash X? Are they going to invade? Because that's exactly what Cloud9 are doing. Von C's been found again, into the fray on top of him. That's a bright bulwark going to be down from Flash X. That's going to be massive, but it's not going to matter because Cloud9 already find another. Best Chuck and Ace popping a potion. That Sigil's going to heal him up as well. Gabe Fizzle takes a couple of turret hits, but already Cloud9 finding this Kestrel time and time again.
Yeah, this is really, I love this from Cloud9. A lot of times when people play Fortress, they spend a lot of time in lane throughout the early game, still kind of doing the duo play, but I think Fortress is far more effective when you use them like C9 is doing right now. You actually go on these early game invades. Like, this harks back to some of the metas of earlier days of Vainglory, where Fortress would just constantly invade over and over again. That gave them so much. They just got a full clear of C9's jungle minus the front 2 camps. They're going to get a clear of their own camps. We talked about Rona can't get off the ground in this game. She's already starting to.
Yeah, 3-0-0 right now. And she's even got 24 CS under her belt. And Von C, 15. 0-2-0 at this current moment in time. He is really lacking behind, and you can see the items coming out. Best Chuck and A picking up that cheap tension bow, meaning he's going to do a lot of damage in that lane, but with Old School up there, he's got the heals. It's going to be very, very hard for them to even just push him out.
Yeah, it is really going to be difficult, and we talked to this, matchup. This series is all about the rumble in the jungle. Game 1, Von C controlled with Grumpjaw. Game 2, Joseph with Rona. In Game 3, he's controlling again, and look how much pressure it gives that team when they go off. Joseph in the lead now. Coming up, they're going to shove this wave over, most likely looking to just keep the pressure up. They don't want Lyra to get positioned to be able to return pressure. Looking for a heavy invade here. Hunting for Von C, maybe.
He's going to use that active camo. He knows 2 wires now. He needs to get out ASAP. Cloud9, they've hit their power spikes as well. Look at Joseph's items already. Serpent's Mask, tier 3 on Von's tier 2 item. It's disaster for him at this current time, and you can see most of the time Flash X is just chucking out those sigils for the vision.
Yeah, just leaving it in the bush the whole time. Really effective strategy for Lyra to be able to do this. The Imperial Sigil actually grants vision in the bush, and you can leave it there for quite some time if it doesn't get popped by yourself or the enemy. So I like the fact that they are playing a bit passive, but they're kind of forced into it. They don't want to. This is CP Kestrel and Tension Bow on a Gwen. They should be the ones putting the pressure on. So these early game plays, just giving that level, that experience advantage, and closing out the damage gaps that Von C could be able to apply.
I mean, we're up to the 6-minute mark now. Old School making the rotation, already has the alternating current, picked up a couple of crystal bits. Cloud9 looking for this engage, and already Von C, he's trying to claw his way back in terms of farm. He's only down to 10 CS now. Best Chuck and A in a lot of trouble, into the fray. One shot, one kill is going to go a little bit wide. It's going to tag Von C. I mean, Gabe Fizzle even on the side, but I mean, another kill goes their way. It looks like they want to go for a dive. Blight Bulwark is going to come down. Glimmer shots raining through for Von C. Red Mist to just chunk up this turret. Old School taking a fair bit. Same with I Love Joseph. They're going to have to back off. And that's going to be it. I mean, Flash X not being there for the heals, didn't even pop Fountain at that time.
I have to really question why Chuck was there to begin with. I mean, we just actually saw them spot C9 out as TSM was taking their middle region there. So the rotation could have been predicted. A little hubris there in the positioning, going for that farm instead of saving his own life. So cost them a little bit more. We are 4-0 now, 1,000 gold lead. This is definitely looking a lot like the last game. And if C9 does anything similar, that it continue to expand this. So right now, I Love Joseph level 7 at 7 minutes. Fonzie still doing a pretty good job keeping his experience gains on par. This is super important with CP Kestrel. That way your Glimmer shots do as much damage as possible, but he needs some items. Frostburn does come online, but they are going to lose the gold mine.
Yeah, that gold mine's going to be pretty big. It's looking pretty full right now. TSM, though, don't want to let it go too easily. They are hanging around. They are going to get spotted out by the Flare, and Infusion actually picked up and used from Old School. So 6-minute Infusion for him. I mean, this is a little bit ridiculous. I mean, they want to look for a fight, and they're happy to take it to TSM, but not over this gold miner. Yeah,
I'm actually surprised C9 backed away from the objective. My guess is they just didn't know where Von C was because he was back at the shop. They had no idea he was that far away, but this rotation from them, they're going to get turret for this.
That's pretty big. And Joseph and Gavizzle taking a fair bit of damage in that front line, but it's not going to matter. Cloud9 with that turret take will start to open the map now, and exactly what Von C didn't want to happen in this game, as he needs that opportunity to farm up, like you said, and to just be able to delete someone off an active camo trap.
Yeah, I mean, 2,000 gold now, so once again, they're trying to pace this gold gain. Are they going to get it? Oh, Fonzie does take it. That's pretty important for him. Every single time you can secure your jungle when you're behind, that's a win. It may not look like a big one, but it certainly is. We might get a team fight here, Jaws, over this gold mine.
Well, speaking about a big win, Attack of the Pack is going to get popped up. So is the Brighted Bulwark. It's going to be an instant active camo, and a Sorbet picked up here as well, but it doesn't matter because Cloud9, they're going to take... No, TSM stole that one. I completely went over my head. I believe that was a sigil from Flash X.
You know, sometimes things happen, right? Like, it's the thing that I do like, though, is when you're trying to engage, just taking smart, low-hanging fruit engages when you're the team that's playing from behind. It's what you have to do. If you commit too much to the objective and get aced, they just go and take a turret. So posture far enough forward. The Wolves, they were kind of used as a zoning tool, but honestly, I think C9 should still be pushing on the gas a little bit. I think they've kind of let off a little too much here as we, well, okay, here we go. So now they're looking for Sentry. Once again, this is an easy objective to take. Experience and gold goes over. Only 2 lives remaining now. So with the map open, C9, you have to control the jungle. You got to control these objectives, and you can't afford to lose any major ones.
One shot, one kill. One shot, one nothing. As Joseph as well. With the reflex block, I want to point out that too. It's extremely early in the game to kind of pick that one up, but the thing is, there's kind of so much CC on the side of Von C, Best Check and A, just popping that one fairly early and picking that and prioritizing it is going to be so important to him. If an ace is high does land, like we saw in the last game onto I Love Joseph, it can just lead him to disaster, really. So I really like the pickup for him, and an infusion is going to come across with Von C. So both these teams, every single time they seem to want to pick up an infusion, they do so, and they try and look for a fight, but at the moment, C9, it's just looking all 2 in their favor.
I'm actually a big fan of C9's itemization throughout this series as well, since we hit the last game and in this one. So they're not burning their gold lead in purely just offensive items that don't make sense. They're actually trying to play around those big cooldowns from TSM. But Von C, once again, the CP Kestrel, he needs some more items. You want to get to the Shatterglass. You want to get to be able to burst somebody down. But these Fortress Wolves, as the game goes on, they're going to disrupt his ability. Was secured there by Old School. So once again, more jungle over to C9. Still sitting around that 2,000 gold point because of that gold mine. So not really getting too many advantages here. Gavizzle just, you know, he likes the one shot. Feels good. Feels good. Little tickle under the arm there for him, but Cloud9 still posturing forward.
Yep, still wanting to look and make a move on TSM, and Best Check and A picking up this tension bow, has got the Sorrow Blade under his belt as well now. So one big thing to kind of point out on this sense is the fact that he can reveal with his buckshot, but as soon as he's kind of unloaded the Tuncheon Bow with his passive, there's not too much sustained damage coming out from him, and it does leave a lot of room for Joseph to then re-engage. Crystal Sentry is going to go down once more, and Cloud9, like you said, really putting pedal to the metal now. 1 life remaining.
Crystal Sentry number 2 goes down. That's more experience, more gold to C9. Now they're going to look for the gold mine, securing this one. This time I imagine everyone too far away. We might see one shot come out, but they're blocking it. Positioning on the right side of the gold mine there just means that they won't be able to lose anything. 193 gold to each player. Not a huge payout, but every single time you take gold mine, you also do get a little bit of experience from it as well. So just minute increases over the course of the match can lead to the total victory. So C9 playing very calm, very collected, and I like what they're doing in this game.
Yeah, and they're executing it very, very well. That Crystal Sentry will be coming back very shortly, so another big objective for Cloud9 to try and take. Now, they're just going to push this wave, and one thing to kind of reiterate as well, only one turret has been taken thus far, Fuji, and we did not see that last game. It was turret after turret after turret after Cloud9 really just hammered it home, just taking these fights, but a little bit more hesitant this time, although still trying to posture for an engage.
Yes, some of that is also due, we have to give a little credit to TSM, that they're playing less aggressive. You could tell in the last match they felt like they had to fight. This match they're playing back, they're trying to farm up, get Von C some items. C9 wants his Crystal Sentry, TSM doesn't want to give it over.
Minion Candy, I believe, was used on the Crystal Sentry.
Yeah, it's going to make it pretty strong.
Yeah, that's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. We're not going to see some crazy Crystal Sentry over the base wall action just yet. Probably one of my favorite kills of the tournament, by the way.
I wish I could eat some candy jaws and it made me a stronger person.
Yeah.
Gotta figure out what that candy is. Some cherries, perhaps. But we do have an infusion sitting on Old School. Timing out fairly soon. Bestchuck had matched it earlier, but neither team really getting too much for it. At this point, I think it's a little difficult for C9 to push turrets simply just because of the defensive capabilities that TSM has with this bulwark and these camouflages. I'd actually like, though, Gabe Fizzle to use his ultimate a bit more for that zoning, though. They can actually push them off turret. Flash.
Oh, Flash X in a lot of trouble. Old School's actually going to meet them here. It's going to be a passageway away. Old School's actually going to follow in through. Bestchuck and A on the sidelines. One shot, one kill goes out. Goes a little wide. They're going to jump straight onto that Crystal Sentry. This is the target they wanted. Ace's High is going to come out. It's going to get blocked by Old School. Flash X in a lot of trouble. Does use the Sentry for the boost, but it's not going to matter. They're still going to chase him underneath this turret, it seems. Joseph just hesitating, backing off with the fire. And the fountain is going to get used. A massive cooldown for TSM, and that is a net gain for C9.
Yeah, he was burning. I could see Flash X watching his health. He's like, I don't know, I gotta hit the fountain just to be safe. It's mostly okay though because Gabe Fizzle also had to use their fountain as well, so nothing major will be lost from this. The next team fight's probably going to be a little bit later now since most of those abilities were used, but very kind of like tempered play from C9. I was a little concerned they might go for the dive, they might get baited into some of that damage, but they're just not letting Von C get any significant things done in this match. He's kind of just been a non-factor.
Yeah, I mean, Von C has got the broken myth now, so he's doing, you know, a little bit more damage. But realistically, I mean, jumping on top of him, especially when he's revealed from a flare, which obviously Gabe Fizzle was heavily prioritizing, got 5 in his inventory right now. Gold Miner, is it going to go over again? No, it's not, Cloud9. Do not let that one go over to a Sigil, although War Treads has been popped here. They might want to look for an engage. Camo perfectly set up the stun there. They might want to go actually back in on this one. Glimmer Shot goes a little bit wide. Flash X is going to reveal them. Here come the Aces High. It's going to stun Joseph. Joseph melting, but it's not going to matter because the heal is going to come through. The Red Mist jumps in. He absolutely destroys, and Old School is going to pick up one. Flash X uses the passageway away, and that will be 2 members of TSM now fleeing for their lives as Cloud9 chase them down.
Oh my goodness, one shot comes out!
Oh, that was close. Minion Bullet isn't going to kill him. He does use the boost to get away, but Joseph almost goes down, but still, Kraken is on the board. Perfectly timed fight for them now, Fuji, as they can rotate to this.
They're not able to get away from attack of the pack. When these wolves come out, they have to be able to use Portal to disengage, use War Treads to get out of there, but once again, Flash X, I've got to call you out, my main man. You did not use Fountain to save Bestchuck's life. Perhaps it was a little bit of a calculated move. You didn't think you were going to be able to use it in time, but he just gets bursted so fast. Honestly, I don't even think it would have mattered. This composition from C9 able to just put so much pressure on, almost even getting the kill there under turret on Flash X. Man, so close to picking up some return kills, but not quite.
Yeah, not quite. And still Cloud9 pressuring TSM, and only one turret has fallen still. This is what I can't get over. 16 minutes into the game, and Cloud9 have just not been able to capitalize on it all too much. Another infusion gets popped for Old School. Cloud9 again looking for this engagement, but Crystal Sentry isn't going to be there for TSM, so that's another line of defense down.
Definitely is. Best Chuck does have 3 offensive item completion. A big power spike from him, sitting on an infusion for a while. Each team right now, nobody really wanting to pull the trigger. But TSM definitely close to that turret, feel pretty safe. It's hard to dive Lyra. It's hard to dive a CP Kestrel. So what C9 is going to do here is they're going to try to pull out TSM. They're going to try to make sure that this team doesn't go back to their turret. We'll call the bluff, or you're just going to let us get Kraken. And Kraken goes over to C9.
Free Kraken for Cloud9. That is going to start marching down the lane now. This is looking really bad for TSM. Haven't been able to pick up a single kill on what seemingly looked like such an early, aggressive composition. And Cloud9 have just capitalized on that and blow up Best Chuck and A every single time he steps out of cover.
Yeah, I mean, C9 is winning the aggression tactics here for the second game and now in the third game, and this is going to give them a lot of pressure. We're finally going to see our second major objective go down, Jaws, the second turret. I want to see how Cloud9 plays this, though. Here goes for
Attack of the Pack is going to get popped right forward to snare them all up, but it's not going to matter. Used as more as an engagement to one-shot, one kill does land on Joseph, but it's not going to matter realistically.
Old school?
Kraken is going to go just march down the lane. Old School in a lot of trouble, but he's just going to be able to get out. However, Bugshot and the passageway is going to get used right
Aces
forward.
high hits!
Well. Aces high hits,
Roller goes
and
down.
it's going to be enough. Fonzie picks up the first kill for TSM. They push Old School out. Glimmer shots rain through.
The root!
They pick up the kill. The root from the tree is going to secure for TSM. They finally pick up a couple of kills, but their base is in ruins.
Yeah, this Kraken is still going to get so much damage on this choke turret. It was not the cleanest push by C9, but they're still able to get multiple objectives. They need to be careful, though. C9, you did lose 2, but come out still far ahead with now, once again, no turrets except for the crystal ones. In this team fight, though, like C9, you don't have to get caught out that far forward. Reflex block not being able to use our Aegis on Joseph. Ace is high, critical. Chuck making some major plays in that team fight. School hoping the Treant would help him out there, but just not quite enough.
Yeah, completely denied it. Give him the slam down as well to finish him off, but Cloud9, they're still in the lead. But now it's only 1,000, well, make that 2,000 gold between these two teams. Number 1 and number 2 seed coming into this one from North America, and Cloud9 is saying, we are number 1 seed, you are number 2 seed.
They're ready to be number 1 seed. I mean, these players have been so close to victories for so long, and they're ready to finally take their first tournament victory, and they're going step by step in the semifinal, taking TSM to the brink here. Yes, this is only game 3, but Cloud9 looking so strong on these aggression versus aggression compositions, and once again, I'm still kind of eyes on Von C to start making a larger impact. There's not a lot of vision down on the map actually from C9, not a lot of deep vision. TSM doing a good job of kind of speckling their side of the map, so some nice flank from Von C here, getting a active camo from behind, setting up a bait attempt. That could be their win condition. It's just a matter of do they feel confident enough to pull it off.
I mean, one thing we always pick up on these Kestrels is the fact that they never build defense, especially in this early to mid game, because they just need all the damage they can get. Wartrez is actually going to get popped here. Crucible as well from Cloud9. One shot, one kill, and Aces High go a little bit wide. Cloud9, they blow some big cooldowns on the side of TSM, and now they're just going to rout the jungle.
Yeah, the rewards for kind of baiting those abilities out is going to be the back doubles there, so more gold, more experience going over, and now they have priority to set up a little bit for this potential Kraken. TSM knows if another Kraken gets picked up by C9, they're going to lose this game, so they're going to have to contest. Infusions all online from each team. Things are about to get really spicy here in just a few minutes if C9 tries to bait this out. This, by the way, is a very common C9 strategy. They will always look to bait around Kraken and team fight if they can. It is what they do every game, all the time when they can. So, not surprised to see it.
Yeah, Cloud9 backing off now. Do not want to give TSM the advantage. Vonsi was actually spotted out by a flare in his active camo, now just trading up these lane minions.
Here we
Attack
go.
of the Pack's going to get popped. Bright Bulwark really early here. Passageway still available for Flash X. He's going to get jumped on. Wartread's coming through, but Joe's going to leap into the fray. Chuck just goes down. No defenses, no problem as they jump onto Vonsi as well. He's going to into the fray him to the death. And there we go. Flash X, the last member alive. just can't seem to do anything, and I think Cloud9 might just end this game on match point.
Yeah, with 30-second plus death timers on these two, all they need to do is move this wave in. They have the damage, they have the sustain. Gabe trying to kill these minions. You got to get the wave inside to be a safe, clear. FlashX going to try to hold here. He has Atlas, but once again, Rona not going to be heavily affected by that. This is going to be a hard hold for Flash.
Oh, look at Gabe Vizzle's block rate as well, 88%. Flash, extremely hard hold, actually popped the Atlas already. Old School going fairly low here. These turrets are actually melting through Joseph as well. Flash in the middle of them all. Red Mist is going to get popped as well. Focus, Cloud9, can they do it? Can they end the game on match point? There we go, TSM won at Cloud9 2 games, one away from facing Gangstars in the final.
Cloud9 making an insane statement saying, TSM, you might have had control of many seasons, you might have had control of Summer Split, but we're trying to take control, and we have, of this championship so far. Only one game, Jaws, stands between them beating TSM for the first time when it actually matters most and solidifying themselves in the unified finals.
One game away. One whole game for Cloud9. All they need to do is just take the victory off TSM, but TSM are putting up a fight. We're going to jump straight over to the analyst desk as they're going to break that game down even further.
C9 so used to being bridesmaids, but right now they're a bride looking for a wedding. 2-1 up in this series. The second seed leading the charge.
Never should have doubted my instincts. Old School on Adagio is just too good.
Yeah, I mean, Old School stood out. All three of the members from Cloud9 stood out in the game. I mean, what was it about Cloud9 that really gave them the edge this
I think TSM really need to think about Rona. I mean, Joseph on Rona, which we haven't seen him play in the VG8 and in this tournament until they pulled it out today. He's amazing on Rona. The way he engages, when he uses his gap closers.
Yeah.
I mean, the Borg and all these kiting, they didn't really keep Rona off Gwen or Kestrel, and they did such a good job getting onto and then ulting. I mean, Joseph played so well this game.
And we heard yesterday, Gabe Vizzle, after their victory, he said, you know, a lot of people criticize I Love Joseph for having a limited hero pool, but we know that his hero pool is a lot deeper than what has been shown, and they're proving that here today. There's also the fact that the Crucible and the Fountain were both used the instant after Best Chuck had already gone.